What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Human Proof Designs broadcast. Today, we are with Alex of Avocadu. So it's kind of like avocado, but like a university for avocados. Avocadu.com and CreateAndGo.com. Alex, welcome.
Thank you for having me. I should start that university. Might be more effective than the current college system.
Yeah, you never know. You never know. Alex, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and about Avocadu?
Yeah, what's going on, guys? Name's Alex. I'm out here in Austin, Texas today. Born and raised a Texan myself. So Avocadu was one of our brainchilds that we started back in 2015. Health and wellness blog turned into more of a weight loss focused blog over time. But yeah, so that blog, we made $100,000 with it our first year. The major metrics, we have 100,000 plus Pinterest followers. That's actually where we get the majority of our traffic. We also get Google traffic as well to there. The success of that blog of making over $10,000 a month, $20,000 a month led to the creation of another project we have called Create and Go. And that project is simply teaching people the process that we took into making a successful blog. We took something like blogging and provided a more objective and try to make an honest approach. It wasn't just about blogging about your recipe that day and stuff like that. We're like, no, like this is how you do it. It takes metrics, it takes time, it takes marketing, those sorts of things. And so that's my today. That's what we're working on.
Nice. This is kind of a sidebar, I guess, before we get into the deeper part of the conversation here. But so a lot of people, I mean, like ourselves, we don't publicly talk about our websites, but you do. So you have at least one website that you talk about publicly. Have you found that to make any sort of improvement for your SEO?
So I found that it comes with a lot of positives and a lot of negatives. And sharing your income, it definitely puts a sniper on you kind of at all times. And so you really have to know your stuff and be able to have a competitive advantage on other people, or they could just copy you. But we've been able to do that pretty effectively through a variety of different strategies. But it does help get links and things like that. So with Avocadu, its success by reporting on it on Create and Go, oftentimes we're getting linked out to both websites, by other bloggers and other people. And that over time has raised, Avocadu's authority pretty naturally, which has been it was an unforeseen side effect of doing that, and ended up being a really positive thing. But obviously there's negatives. I mean, there's tons of negatives of like, my family and friends know how much money I make, which is, you could see it as this is a great thing or this is a bad thing. Sometimes it's awesome. Sometimes it's less than awesome. But it's a good and bad scenario for sure.
I never thought about that one with the
yeah.
Yeah, because you don't really talk to your friends. I mean, your close friends, you might know how much they make, but people walking down the street, it's slightly different.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's funny with people like that. You just kind of assume, like you assume based on what they buy and what they spend and those sorts of things. But like when people know like the actual dollar amount, it's I don't know, it's just weird. Yeah, that's the best way to describe it. Obviously, like your real friends don't give a shit, but the other people, the way they approach you when you're working with like freelancers and stuff like that, who can see how much money you make, they can kind of, oh, this is the big whale, we should really go out, like it comes with a bunch of weird things in the territory for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure. Those are that for sure is an edge case that I would not have thought of. Yeah. So you talked about how at the beginning of Avocadu, it was a general health site. So at what point did it kind of transition into this narrower niche of weight loss? Like, how did that come about? Maybe you could tell us a little bit of background for Avocadu too.
For sure. So like one of the big things, and it is actually a really great marketing lesson for people who are, in the affiliate marketing space and trying to hone out a niche and trying to make profits, is that what we really got good at with Avocadu was letting our readers dictate where we took things. people honestly, when they start like a website or a blog, sometimes they think of it as like this stagnant creation. Like I have this domain name and this is what this site is about. And they think about it too, like they think almost like where it can't be changed. And that's the opposite of what a blog is. A blog can be evolved and molded into like whatever you want it to be. So what happened is before Avocadu was this site called Health and Happy Hour. And it was this site where we were trying to talk about like both health and wellness and drinking and having fun. And the problem with that site was our focus was solely on ourselves. You know, it wasn't on what other people needed. So when we shifted to making Avocadu, we had this really great realization of like, this is for them and what they want. So what we started out with was a simple basic formula of like, we posted about everything under the sun, like in health and wellness. We posted recipes, we posted healthy eating, we posted weight loss, we posted yoga. It was just a general health and wellness site. And what happened is over time, we noticed something really weird. And that was that people really loved our take on yoga. By loved our take, I mean, you can just tell from your metrics and stats, like what's your top post? What are the things that people are sharing the most? What's the post that people are actually commenting on? Like real people are commenting on. And so when we saw that, it was like this sort of, okay, let's make more yoga content and see what happens. Made more yoga content and people started to really respond to it. It had this huge yoga following, which Avocadu and yoga and, I mean, it all makes sense now, I guess, but, looking back on it, like obviously not. And what happens, we funneled it towards the direction of wherever people were throwing us. And so it started with yoga. And then it eventually like trickled into weight loss as well. Sorry about that. I received the package. But so then we started to narrow in based on what people were saying and what people were, I thought I just turned that on. What people were saying and what people were responding to. And I think that's a really big marketing lesson just in general. That's how we decided those things.
So you have a partner with this site, Lauren, I believe. And so how did you guys get started with the health and happy hour site? Because I want to take this back to the beginning of,
sure,
why you started this site in the first place. Yeah. And, that'll help people kind of maybe in their idea creation stage, probably.
Okay, cool. So I cut my teeth early on, man. I in 2010 read the 4 Hour Work Week, and I was in college at the time, and I was like, fuck regular jobs. I want to do something weird and different, and I had started on different things. Like I started by being a personal trainer and marketing those services with internet marketing, and was able to do that in college. And then after I graduated, I started this book called A College Guy's Guide to Getting Ripped. And I sold that book via writing articles on the Bro Bible, this website for guys back in the day, which was hella fun. It was just a real big bro site. So, that's where I really kind of like got started with it. So I had known before 2015 about internet marketing, some general stuff. I had never made a significant income just purely through internet marketing though. What happened, I went to this conference, the Millionaire Fastlane, a book I recommend to almost every entrepreneur because it just very objectively shows you like, here's where you're spending your hours. If you want to succeed, here's where you need to spend your hours. I went to some conference and saw these people who were successful. And I think just seeing and being around those people who were in the digital space, who were successful, really re-inspired me and reinvigorated me. So I started working on Health and Happy Hour. And what happened was kind of funny is like I was working on the website and trying to make graphics on like Canva and stuff like that. And Lauren just looked at them and was like, that is terrible. And I was like, yeah, it really is. And she just like kind of moved me over from the chair as like, let me help you with this, and just started like working on it. She was a full-time CPA at the time, but she was interested in it because I was interested in it. And that's how we started, man. And we just started by, she was just doing the things that I was terrible at and didn't know anything about. And that was the inception. That was where everything started. And so every night and every weekend for a while, we would just work on these blogs and on these websites. We would drink lots of mimosas and come up with creative ideas and work on
them. So you said CPA. So is that like an accountant, or is that a different acronym in the fitness industry?
Accountant. Yeah, she was an
Gotcha.
accountant at the time. She was a vegan though. She was always super interested in health and stuff like that. So it just worked out as where we both chased something that we had some interest in, which is another big deal in my mind. Even if you're just trying to make money, it's going to net benefit you so much more when you have a genuine, honest interest in the subject, because it just will. I can look back to very specific instances where by having that interest, that's what took Avocadu to the next step, into the next step, into the next step. Where if I was just talking about, something that was profitable that I didn't have an interest in, like insurance, I wouldn't have discovered those things.
Yeah, definitely. And you can make a lot of money doing insurance sites, but it's, it's
But
not.
I probably wouldn't make any. I'd get there and just be like, this sucks, and quit.
Do you have any insight into partnerships? Because I think, a lot of bloggers start blogs by themselves, all fantastic, just because you should definitely be starting things all the time, because you never know where it's going to lead. But having a partner that's going the same direction as you is all obviously very, very useful, because it's double the amount of productivity. Do you have any insights into partnerships, positive, negative, or just things to look out for, anything like that?
For sure. So I wouldn't say it's double the productivity. I'd say it's quadruple, quintuple the productivity that you get, because you really, honestly, like a partnership functions best when the other person, especially somebody like myself who comes up with a lot of creative ideas, they kind of like keep you from venturing out on some dumb path that you shouldn't be on. A partner does a really great job of like, hey, that's stupid, and here's why. Because sometimes you get so like caught up here, you don't function well. Getting that external feedback. But when you have a partner doing that, they can be like, no, like, look at this thing. We need to do this thing. And that's why I'd say partnerships are highly recommended. If you're at the beginning, that period of 2012 to 2015, where I wasn't as successful at this as I wanted to be, it was all in relation to me trying to do it all by myself. Like, that was where a lot of the struggle came from, because I didn't have, somebody to help me with the things that I sucked at. And because of that, like I always stagnated, and I always would make something and it'd be interesting, but it would never go far enough. By having a partner and by having somebody who was like really interested in it and a part of it and doing the things that, and had complementary values, like she was good at the finances and the graphic design. I was good at seeing the future and knowing where we're heading and keeping us motivated and that sort of stuff. When you have that cohesive partnership, I think it's super valuable. And if you're somebody who's struggling right now and you've been struggling for a while, it's definitely something I would consider, because you can lock arms with someone, you can run so much further whenever you have a partner or have somebody on your side. I know you have partners as well, don't you, Kevin?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we actually have investors that come in, and we operate their websites for them. So
Right.
yeah, that's certainly a partnership in there.
For sure.
What's interesting, I also don't want to gloss over this, because I know it's important. In that area between 2012 and 2016, from the digital marketing, personal training, to the ebook, and then to health and happy hour, and then now to Avocadu. That's a stair stepper, right? So you go from one thing to another thing to another thing, and it all kind of works together. And I think a lot of people miss that, just because it's so important, right? You just basically didn't give up on this specific area that you focused on, but you just tried to ship a lot of things, basically.
For sure, man. And that's such a good point, because there's that quote where it's like, you don't know what it will look like until you're there, and like looking back, I look at those things and I'm like, oh my gosh, that first time I threw up that personal training site in college and made $35 an hour promoting the website through Craigslist and learning copywriting, selling that ebook, like those things mattered so much. It's just, you don't connect them until you're here. But like that beforehand, like it mattered a lot, for sure.
For this partnership that you had or have with Lauren now, was there any sort of agreement? Like, was there a partnership agreement and things like that for the site? Like, how did that look?
Yeah, so we didn't have anything. I'm also a big fan of like, don't worry about it until it makes money. You know, like there's a lot of people who like, I'm gonna start a business. They run out and get an LLC. I'm like, make your first $10 and then go get your LLC. You know, like people they run before they walk a lot of times. So we didn't like initially start out with anything, but later on we did come up with an official agreement. And then as the website progressed forward, and I was majority share owner by a good margin. She she was working so hard and dedicating so much time to it and was really as committed as I was, that I actually lowered my percentage ship to match hers because I'm just a believer in, man, like in putting the right motivation in front of the right people, and like if they're working hard and love it, like that money will come back to me. So I'm not really as worried about that, if that makes sense. But yeah, there was definitely like an official agreement. She's like she's a CPA, she's all about like having the legal structure and the finance and stuff like that. So she's always on my ass about that stuff. So
Yeah, totally. I mean, I can absolutely see that. And some people are just maybe more risk averse sometimes, because and it makes sense, right? Obviously, when the blog is not making any money, it's worth nothing.
you're worth nothing. So don't like run out and pay $300 for an LLC. You're already $300 in the hole now.
Yeah. So let's start talking about the transition between health and happy hour into Avocadu. So
Okay.
you health and happy hour was, I think it was kind of like a fun site for you. Is that correct?
Yeah,
Okay.
I intended to make money with it, but it was more fun than it was money.
So how did that transition go to Avocado? Was there like proper keyword research going into this, or did you just or was the whole plan to go on to Pinterest and kind of dominate that area?
It really wasn't, man. It started out as we saw another website in the space doing a lot better than us. And it was like, all right, let's make something like that instead, because this obviously isn't working. And we worked both of them for a little while. Like it wasn't like this immediate thing where like we're giving up and starting new. It was more like, let's start this other thing and work on it as well and just see where they go. And because of that, when Avocado started to gain traction, started to get a readership, it became abundantly obvious that like that was a mistake and this is where we need to head. But that was the transition essentially. And Health and Happy Hour, like I said, was more like there was helpful information and helpful tips on there, but it was also very designed to be more fun and more about us than it was about the target customer that we were trying to serve. And that was the problem. That's why we didn't make any money with it.
Okay. So how does Avocado make money right now?
So it's 3 or 4 ways mainly. You have ads, advertising on the website will make about I think 3-4 grand per month with AdThrive. We cycle in a lot of it through the products that we create. So we created this product called the Yoga Fat Loss Bible, and we created a product called the 21-Day Fat Loss Challenge, both of which do very well. And that cycles in a lot. I mean, I'm sure it's over 10 grand a month. And then we have things like affiliate marketing, which is actually less of what we do than anything else. We do some Amazon here and there. There's a few products that we really recommend, but not a crazy amount. I know people in the space do way more than us, like on affiliate marketing, but we just really believe in like promoting our own products and kind of keeping the core like foundation of our blog intact. And then that's pretty much it. Those are the real main ways. If there's anything else, we don't do sponsored content or sponsored posts. I'm trying to think of any other ways. That's about it.
What can we talk a little bit about those products? Like, what are they? Yeah,
For sure. So the Yoga Fat Loss Bible is just a series of yoga workouts that people can do. So when I was talking about originally why people liked our yoga content is because we when you say yoga to most people, they think of like Zen and meditation and and all that stuff, and that's great. I think it has a place. But when we started talking about it, I was a personal trainer, so I was very objective. I was like, hey, this is great. Here's how to combine this with a proper diet and these types of things to actually lose weight. And the combination of those two was really what sold it. So the Yoga Fat Loss Bible is this combination of like, hey, here's these yoga workouts, here's these yoga routines, in a very non-judgmental environment on yoga. It's more like it's your body. Our testimonials aren't like those like 9-pack abs and stuff like that. It's much more like, hey, like this is like a positive thing. We're just trying to create some positive effects in your life. And so that's the Yoga Fat Loss Bible. And then 21 Day Challenge is our take on, a fast weight loss program. Like there's been so many, with a huge emphasis on the community. So 21 Day Challenge was created because I read a weight loss study by the University of Alabama that indicated that it was this giant meta-analysis, and it was said, like, if we really want to nerd out, if you need to cut me off from doing this anytime, just let me know. But the meta-analysis was that, hey, the people who lose the weight the quickest in the first month are actually the people who have the best results over the course of a year. And it was a super controversial study. You won't hear about it in a lot of places because it is controversial. It's almost a thumbs up for fad dieting, which is shocking to say the least, especially as someone who's been a personal trainer all my life. But we were like, okay, how can we incorporate this and do it in a way where people stay on and get results? And that was through like a faster weight loss program that functions very similarly to others, but is really circled and inspired by this community of people. It's a typical Facebook group, but people like my mom is in it and sends me the results all the time. I get text messages from her. Did you see Trisha's like results and stuff like that? But those are the two main products, and those are real big sellers.
So the Fat Loss Bible, is that an ebook?
Yeah, that one's an ebook. That one's purely an ebook. The 21 Day Challenge has an ebook and video courses, but I'm sorry, the Yoga Fat Loss Bible does have videos in it now, but people didn't want them, amazingly. Sometimes I don't even know. Like we literally partnered with this YouTuber to create these awesome yoga workouts from scratch and to make like these yoga videos. And like people were like, don't care. Like we'd rather have the ebook. So I was like, all right, cool.
Yeah. Well, you never know until you do it.
Exactly.
That's actually so for this, I think a lot of people in our audience, at least if they pay attention to what we do. So a lot of our business and our model relies on starting off with SEO, affiliate content, and then adding on ads afterwards, and then stair stepping to products. So it's kind of like this three-way street, we'll call it. I mean, you can really do either or, but for us, it just honestly, it's just easier to give people a framework, and if they want, they can go about whichever way they want. But like, how does the impetus for a product happen? Because did you take the most popular blog posts that you had and then put them into this ebook, or was there something else? Like, how did this all go about? And then even to the point where you're asking another influencer to kind of do a JV with you guys to commit some content so that you guys can both benefit from it. Yeah. That's pretty interesting in itself too. So
I think you have the nail on the head. I think that there's this stepping stone process that people need to go through in order to make an income. And I think it runs through affiliate marketing and advertising almost first before you create your own products and services. Because if we rewind a little bit back and go back to Health and Happy Hour, we had created a couple products on there because we're like, oh, people are selling ebooks, let's create products. And I had created a product before, why not? And nobody bought it. And that was because we didn't cycle properly through, like, when you affiliate market and you are really selling products, if you're really good at it, you start to understand the sales process. And that's the key to understanding how to create your own product, is understanding the actual sales cycle and creating proper funnels and creating email marketing and these types of things. So that was the Stair Stepper. So the Stair Stepper started with, we have these articles, And then the next step was a lot of people are reading the yoga stuff. Let's put some Amazon associates on that article, right? Made a few dollars. Okay, let's put an email capture form on that article to capture people's email addresses. Okay, let's put an affiliate product for yoga in those emails. And then when that started selling, it was okay, now we kind of have proof. Let's create, our own yoga product. So that was the stair stepper climb that we took. And it's also what we encourage our students to take as well, because I just think people start out with products and they start too soon and then they fail. And it's not a function of them creating a bad product. It's sometimes more a function of them just not understanding how it works. And affiliate marketing is so great because it gives you that opportunity to try something that's proven to sell in other places and learn how to sell.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the word marketing is kind of woo-woo, but I mean, and the true meaning of it is just basically reverse engineering what people want, which is exactly what you've done there. So, what about actually before while we're actually still on this topic, I think you guys have a physical product too. Is that
We
right?
do. We have Gut 14. We have the our physical probiotics. I forgot to mention those poor guys.
It just popped up in my head too.
Yeah. So we have a private labeled probiotic that we got through Absolute Tricks, I think is the name. I actually have my sister set it all up. She actually does a lot of Amazon products and stuff. So I had her kind of create that. It was an interesting experiment because, again, most of our products come up because of certain studies. So one of them was that your gut flora, like people changing their gut flora, it caused significant weight loss. And we were like, okay, like let's create a probiotic around like these, this specific thing. And so we found a company that did it, private labeled it, went through all this process of making that. She said everything we don't touch anything, like it's created, sent to the, it's manufactured, shipped to the distributor distributes it. And so we don't touch any of that process, but it brings in an extra maybe $1,000 a month, something like that. It's certainly not our most profitable, but it's another steady revenue stream that we've stumbled upon. When we created the products, we just looked for additions to, so we have these weight loss products and people are losing weight. It's like, how else can we help them in this process? And that was an easy transition to try.
Do you have partners for all of your products? For example, in the ebook, you've got the YouTube influencer guy. I don't think you said anything about the 21-day challenge, but maybe there is. And it sounds like with this Amazon physical product, you have a partner as well, which I think is maybe your sister. I don't know how that works, but I'm kind of interested in all these things because from what it sounds like, you're really good at leveraging other people's work, we'll call it.
For sure. So, it's funny you brought up the YouTube person. They're not technically like still a product. We don't profit share with them. We just paid them to create the videos. And then my sister, similar deal where we partnered with her and paid her for a while. We actually tried to create some Amazon products as well that actually didn't end up working out. Such a competitive space. It's crazy. So we don't really have like, one of the things I think you're getting at is like, we don't really have like joint ventures or anything like that. We actually have no affiliate marketing for the 21-day challenge. It's something we're looking into. Now, I know that's a way that make a lot of money, but it's also a lot of way to create a lot of headaches as well. I feel like when you cut down your margins to 25% of the net product and a bunch of people are selling it and you don't control the ways that they sell it, a little bit wary about that. But that's just me. I've sold ClickBank products before. It's not like I'm against them. It's just that I imagine that it causes a lot of headaches or can cause a lot of headaches. Actually, one of our products on CreateAndGo, we did try on ClickBank, like partnering with other people. And again, just create a lot of headaches, create a lot of people. Our refund rate from people selling those products was way higher than our normal one. Our normal one's like 3% and it jumps to 50%, people selling on ClickBank. And so it's just like, that's so as far as partnerships, that's kind of how it goes. I just look for people who are good at it and I pay them really well to kind of create it and automate it for me.
Okay. Okay. Very cool. Yeah, for sure. Those refund rates for anything that's being pushed by an affiliate who has really no attachment to you is just going to be higher. Um, and it's the one thing that's tricky too about if you are trying to recruit affiliates to your product is that most affiliates don't do any don't do any work. So it is a bit of work on your end in terms of supporting them. And only a small percentage of them bring in the uh, the revenue that you're seeking, but it does take time to find those people. You don't really find those people uh, until you go through, until you go through the lower performing affiliates, we'll call
If you had insights into that, man, I'd be all ears because
them.
I haven't found a good way to do it other than manually approving like each individual one. So
Yeah, that's pretty much the same. There's no insight beyond that.
fair enough.
Let's talk about, so with Avocado, when it first started, how did you get traffic?
So our first way to get traffic, like we went through everything. I say everything. We went through Google, tried to get Google SEO. Wow, that was a shit show. That was not a successful venture. We tried Facebook. We saw somebody who was actually using Facebook ads and leveraging them, and I tried that whole route. Complete failure, complete and utter bomb. But then I found Pinterest, and I found Pinterest through, for those of you know, Ryan Dice, digitalmarketer.com, the lab back there. And they were talking about their survival space website was getting like 50,000 views a month on Pinterest. And I was like, that seems like a lot of traffic. Let's look into that. And so we hopped on there. And what I saw almost immediately was opportunity, because I looked at the pins that people were creating in our space, and they were garbage. A lot of what I see in internet marketing, especially in health and wellness niche, is this funny process where it's guys marketing to girls, and guys like every Pinterest image at the time. It's not this way anymore, thankfully. I think we've been a positive change on there. Was like I'm going to use this term lightly, almost like porny looking girl, like like doing again that fitness thing. It's like, and all that stuff. I'm like, this doesn't appeal to 95% of the women on this website. And we could just see that and know that was the case. It was just a bunch of dudes trying to market at women. And so it was like, all right, let's create something different. So we created this content, and man, I don't want to say it was overnight, but it felt like it was overnight, where we climbed, that first, after those first 2 weeks, we started to get our first consistent traffic. Next 2 weeks, we were getting even more, and just progressed and progressed and progressed until we were topping 100,000, 200,000, views a month just from Pinterest.
So could you walk us through your Pinterest strategy from, I guess it's not really your Pinterest strategy. Can you walk us kind of through your content process? So like how you think of the article to getting the article written. I don't know if you guys write the article or not. And then to the promotion end, which would be Pinterest. Like, how does that all look?
So it looks, it's really rough right now. We're trying to organize and optimize this a little bit better. But before, it was Alex just goes on Pinterest, and thankfully Pinterest is a jQuery search. So unlike Facebook, it's not, content remains organic for a long period of time. So I would type in things and I could see what posts were ranking for what. And because of that, I could pretty clearly go, okay, this is popular and this is not. Because like the first autofill for, let's say you're in yoga, right? And you type in yoga on Pinterest, the first thing that's going to come up is yoga, and then there's going to be poses. And then actually Pinterest provides you with all these additional popular searches that people look up. So you can look at those and then kind of come up with creative ideas. So that was where the content begins. Starts with writing the headline. I think that's the most important thing that you do. If you spend an hour on the article or 3 hours on the article, spend 3 hours on the headline. It's so important. I learned that lesson actually from writing for the Bro Bible. And what happened is I would, because I couldn't tell how many views the article would get. I could tell how many sales I would get. And if I wrote an article that was, 10, how to lose weight the best way, or something like that, it would get like, a little bit of traffic. But if I wrote an article like the 10 worst exercise mistakes that you're probably making right now, it would get not just double the traffic, it would get 10 times the traffic. Like that's how powerful like those headlines that you write are. And so we spend a lot of time there. And then that process then goes to us writing the articles. Now we do hire them out now, but at the beginning it was all content that we created by hand. It starts with a story. I always tell people, like, when you're writing an article, like the first thing you need to do is captivate them by storytelling, whether it's a story about you, a story about somebody you know, a story or a result from somebody else, captivate their interest, and then follow it up by proceeding to give them the content that they were looking for.
Okay.
That's the real process.
That's
There's also pinning as well that goes into that, which is, create the article first, then Lauren would go through on Canva, create the pin, and then pin it to Pinterest. And that would be the whole article cycle.
That's really interesting that the initial thing that you talked about, typing in yoga and then seeing what is ranking there organically and judging based off of the topics what's showing up there, and then essentially reverse engineering that. Is that correct?
Yep, for sure. Sometimes now you should do it on platform. Like when you're marketing things, like do it on platform for sure. But then the other secret tip is to venture outside of platform and take ideas from other places. So go into Facebook and go into a yoga group and see what people are talking about, or go to YouTube and what's the top, if when you type in yoga poses to YouTube, what's the top title on YouTube? Take that to a Pinterest article. Like that's some of the ways that you can cross pollinate the content that you create. I don't know if that's the right word for that, but we're gonna go with pollinate.
I like it. Cool. That's pretty cool, man. I have never thought about that, but that makes a heck of a lot of sense, because if you're going to create content, you might as well make sure, because I really don't like going back to old content personally. You have to do it sometimes, but I don't really like it.
Yeah, I thought of it as done. That's why I created it.
Yeah, exactly. So if you do all that work at the very beginning, so you're kind of reverse engineering what's going on Pinterest, and you're heading over to Facebook, and you're heading over to YouTube and looking at all that kind of stuff, and I mean, I'm sure that is kind of more art than science at the end of the day, but that's pretty cool. What are you using for your Pinterest? Is there anything special about Pinterest that you're using to drive more traffic? Like, I think when we were talking on offline, I believe you're using Tailwind. Are you also, are you creating multiple images for the same article? Any things like that?
Yeah. So a couple big ones is using Tailwind. Before you could see like repins on Pinterest, and Pinterest took that off a while back. I don't know exactly what they were thinking with that, but they just did. And now what you do is you can go through Tailwind and see your stats. But it's actually very important that you create multiple images for an article, because again, like Pinterest is like Instagram, but you get multiple shots at it. Like, wouldn't it be great on Instagram if you could post like 3 photos at various times to different parts of your audience and optimize for the right one? You can't do that, but you can do that on Pinterest. You can have 3 separate pins that are created, and I would create them wildly different. It's an old Perry Belcher thing where you are not, when you're split testing something, don't just change a headline, change the whole thing and then work towards the middle. So like when you're creating pins, create one pin that looks really different from the other pin, and then the third pin that looks different from all of them, and start there and then go through. So that is an important process to Pinterest, because again, like I said before with Avocadu, the whole thing was like, we let our readers dictate. And so same thing goes with the pin creation. We let the clickers of the content dictate what pin we are creating. But multiple pins is a huge strategy. Tailwind has a bunch of different things like tribes where you can join other people in your pinning process. Honestly, though, Lauren is more the head and chief now. of the Pinterest strategy. But those are the main things that matter.
I know that you said that you are not the most design gifted, we'll say.
Oh. Yeah, I'd say that's an accurate.
But what would you? Are there any kind of patterns that you could share? Because obviously, you're generating a lot of traffic from Pinterest
Yeah.
and using those pins and doing those not just A/B tests. You're doing like ABC tests essentially. Um, are there any patterns and images that you can share with us that might be applicable to people?
For sure. So a big one, a couple ones on Pinterest that first come to mind. First is actually don't use many images of people's faces. It's actually a very interesting platform where people actually don't. It's almost like a private platform where, like on YouTube, like you need your face in the thumbnail for clicks. Pinterest is very different. You don't want to actually see a face on there. That's an interesting thing. Big bold text always works because like people are scrolling and the text that stands out. But going back, when you're thinking about colors is actually an interesting thing as well. So Pinterest, people are getting more savvy on Pinterest, right? So, people have learned about this. So they, competition, the bar raises. But a big thing that is this idea of contrast in images, which is like, you understand, like on a sales page, if your sales page is bright blue, having a really bright orange button stands out. Like it just stands out. It catches the eye. I would think of Pinterest the same way. Now, each niche is going to be very different in like what's the common color scheme used. Like in travel, it's probably going to be blue. In marketing space, it's white backgrounds are really popular, and a lot of white text. It's going to be different for different niches, but I would choose actually the contrast color. I would choose the color that stands out the most and is the most vibrant, because it's like anything. People are scrolling through their phones and scrolling through Pinterest. The thing that like really catches their eye is the thing that they're going to look at and click on. That's probably some of the better advice that I can give on that.
So if somebody is, let's say, for example, looking up um, yoga, and then it pops up with all these pins, and they trying to find contrast to match those pins, or are they trying to find contrast to stand out?
Stand out. I would look for things that really stood out as like, wow, that's shocking. Like people just kind of get into a rhythm when they look for content where like everything looks the same and the one that looks different is the thing that they click on. So
Have you ever put a fake button? Well, I wouldn't call it a fake button, like a button on the pin, and has that worked? Or
I think we've tried it. And I think actually, I don't want to say it's against Pinterest policies, but I feel like it is because not a lot of people do it, and I feel like people would do it if it wasn't effective. You know what I mean? I
oh
feel like there's something about that doesn't seem like it would be something Pinterest would want. Although they
yeah,
have trouble regulating it because I don't know how many pins get pinned every day, but it is an obnoxious amount. It's like a YouTube problem where the creators get upset, but the truth is that you can't manually, you know, take care of the content. You have to like create bots and robots to handle the millions of hours of videos that get uploaded every day. So because of that, like you could try it. I don't know.
well, we'll see. We'll check with the terms first and see and see before we do that,
Don't
because
use
it's
the
not.
interest your first week because we got bad advice from this interview.
Um, what So with your site, actually, it's in the health niche. So I want to talk about SEO now,
Okay.
um, because if we pull up your site in let's say Ahrefs or any other tool that shows organic traffic, like SEMrush probably, the you can kind of see it go up. And then it takes a bit of a dive in
Yeah.
June, July-ish, which is very common to all of the other sites in the health space. Not all of them, but the majority of them.
Right.
How did you deal with that? And what are your thoughts on things like that? Hey, so
Are you
cut
there?
out a little bit.
Yeah, I got you now. Hold on. I think we're buffering a little bit. Okay, I think we're good now. Are you?
I can hear you. Not anymore. Hmm. So having a little bit of technical difficulties here. I think maybe do you want to try to exit the screen? There's the green slider at the top there, and maybe try that. Hopefully, it doesn't close everything. On your screen there, in your video where you're just looking at yourself, there should be a green slider at the top left.
How about now?
Yes.
Hey, there we go.
Well,
We're
it's
back.
live. Yeah.
It happens.
All right. So Google. So we are talking about Google, how the Google Medic update has affected your site and your thoughts on that.
For sure. So at the time we were pulling in, so how I explained it is that we were really focused on Pinterest and created content for Pinterest. And that was very central to the content. I mean, it's where we focus. I mean, I think you can focus on Google traffic. You kind of ignore, you can focus on both, but I think like focusing content specifically for one platform is actually a pretty good idea. So we focused only on Pinterest, and suddenly, uh, last year, like the time before that, when it started to go up, we just started to get gifted Google traffic. And I was like, that's great. I like that a lot. And it started to go up, and as it went up, our revenues continued to climb. And then we did get hit with that medic update, and significant losses to pretty much every general health site or every large health site, other than a few. And it really wasn't a damaging thing to us as much. We certainly lost money that we were enjoying having, but it didn't kill us in any way, shape, or form. We were still getting so much traffic from Pinterest and still getting enough traffic from Google that it wasn't money that I was counting on. It was more just like a gift that was like half taken away. Somebody gave me an In-N-Out burger, and then like at the last second, like cut it in half and took back half. And I was like, I still got half an In-N-Out burger. Like I'm doing all right. Um, Moving forward though, as far as like optimizing for Google content, that'll be an interesting process because I know what they're looking for now, especially with that update. Just because of the way that it cut out most health and wellness sites, it was really indicative of where I think Google wants to head with content. And I found that process pretty fascinating.
What did you notice from that update?
The thing I noticed in the websites that got hit the most are um, are general like health sites, almost like sites like prevention.com and Dr. Axe and Wellness Mama, who specialize in being a non-specialist, where we create content under every topic under this health umbrella. And the truth is that you really can't truly be an expert in all those topics. Like you just can't. And that was the interesting part about it, because I feel like Google is moving towards like this very much authority model where they will look at your website and they'll look at where your website's being backlinked from and what topics are like most prevalent in that. And I think it was just an indicator that Google's going to head more down this path of like, no, we want like an authority on like this particular topic, and that's like your space. That I found pretty fascinating, and something that we'll continue to move towards, as well as Google. There's a bunch of science nerds, right? So they like the fact that somebody has a PhD attached to their name at the bottom of an article, which, man, in health and wellness does not mean you know jack shit about health and wellness. It really does not mean a thing, but Google likes it, and Google will continue to move towards that. So like websites like Authority Nutrition, I don't know how hard they got hit, but I didn't see them budge too much in rankings. And that's because like all of their articles, they have some PhD on there, and some guy like that. And again, that's where Google wants to move towards.
So did you notice on your site then, like the weight loss stuff kind of sticked around and the other stuff had dropped?
The yoga and weight loss stuff has stuck around pretty much. It's stuck around in a way where, again, I haven't ever optimized for these things. So the fact that we're ranking for weight loss pills, which most people would like want to jump through the computer and stab me for that ranking, like is like, it was just like a gift, and it was just something that we were given. It was. Does that make sense? I kind of got sidetracked a little bit there, but
no, that definitely makes sense. And even though we love the field of SEO, we're still, every SEO doesn't really know what's going on.
Yeah, we're all kind of guessing at it, right? Yeah,
we all have tin hats on and can believe certain things. And like, even for example, the fact that your site has, it maintained its rankings for weight loss and weight loss and yoga. To me, I'm thinking, okay, well, maybe that has to do with social signals, because you've
right.
gotten a lot of pins and maybe lots of shares on there as well. But Google has mentioned that they don't count that stuff. So
I know, but it's hard to trust those guys. Right?
Yeah, totally. Their job is to make our jobs harder.
It is. They do it, and they do a great job of it.
Yeah, well, yeah, they've got smarter people than us sometimes working on it. So what about your funnel, actually? So I want to talk a little bit about your funnel here for Avocadu. Like, how does that look? How are you getting people onto your email list?
So we just, it's really simple. We offer, we don't run any real ads to Avocadu. We don't run any to Avocadu, actually. We offer a simple like PDF download of something very related to the product. And that's, again, another thing. So like our yoga product, I think the thing is like, get this yoga download for weight loss, like it's like directly related to the product we sell, so much so that it's like unmistakable that the person who gets this downloaded wants to lose weight and wants to lose weight doing yoga. That's where you start. Like you start from like that thing. There's this thing in marketing where people are so concerned about KPI and like vanity metrics, where I'm just like, guys, the only thing that matters is the sale at the end of the day. Like if I could change that opt-in to get 30 times more opt-ins, but they wouldn't lead to more sales, and that's all that matters. So that's the initial kick in there, and then we send them a series of value emails where it's literally just free emails. But at the bottom of the emails, we do a little like PS. If you're interested in this product, like here it is. It's like just a small link at the bottom, nothing crazy. And then at the back end of going through and getting to know us, a lot of these emails are very story focused. They're really trying to create a connection with somebody else. And then at the end, we will offer, hey, like we'll give you a discount if you buy it right now. That's really the basics of the email funnel. It's not more complicated than that.
Nice. Okay. So you've got like, I guess some Seinfeld emails. Sometimes we call those.
Oh yeah. What was it? That was an old Ben Settle thing. Who was that? It was one of those copywriters with the whole like. I I remember buying Ben Settle's product on email marketing back in the day, but like where
Nice.
you just tell a story and you know, put a link down there.
Yeah.
I think that's worked pretty well for us.
So when did Create and Go start, and how did that come about? Like, were people asking you about how you did it from your health site, and then you kind of started this, or like, was it completely different?
No, it was we had we had just had like a giant month for Avocado. We had a $40,000 month followed by like a $25,000 month, and it was like I was reading some blogging information online, some people teaching blogging, and I just straight up was like, They do not know what they're talking about. They have no clue. Like they're just assuming and guessing, and they hadn't taken a lot of the bloggers in the blogging sphere didn't come from like a marketing background like I did. So they were just like, oh, like here's a pretty photo and like this sells and like teaching people that. And I was like, that doesn't work. Like you need to like actually, you know, set up metrics and things like that. So we started with this intention of like, hey, we know this better than other people. We should teach this. And we knew that there was money in it. We knew that we'd probably make a good amount. Didn't know how much though. We didn't kind of realize that until later on. But then so that's where we started, man. We started it back in 2016, actually out in Nicaragua. We were out there doing this group travel with this group called the Wi-Fi Tribe and hanging out with them. And I was just like, yep, let's start it. Let's go for it.
The Wi-Fi Tribe. I've never heard that one.
Yeah, they're cool, man. They're just like remote travelers. They're not like it's not based around like entrepreneurship. It's more based around just people who want to travel and have a good time. But it's wild and just such a fun time because it's a big brother scenario. So you've got 12, 14 strangers from all across the world living in one house. You know, like they need cameras in those buildings because it's wild. It's a great time.
That's awesome. That's awesome, man. I'll have to check it out.
Yeah.
I think I think that's I think I've probably taken enough of your time here at this
Oh, you're
moment.
good, man. You're good.
Um, what's I usually like to ask people about favorite books and things like that. You did share one, Millionaire Fastlane by something DeMarco. Mark, I can't remember.
Yeah, MJ DeMarco, you got it, man.
Right.
That's my favorite one right now. I used to be like a voracious reader, and I kind of turned them off because I realized like I was getting like sucked into too many like ideas and spending too little time like creating stuff, and so like I just turned them off. Right now, I'm reading Alter Ego by Todd Herman. I think it's good, but I just think books are like only as applicable as like the life stage someone was in. So like 4 Hour Work Week, I still think was the best book ever because of the time that I read it. You know, I needed to see that there was another way. I needed to see there was not. Millionaire Fastlane was amazing for me at the time because it made me realize, hey, you spend all these hours personal training. If you focus this time on creating like an online business, you might be able to do some real shit. So I think books are only really as good as the time period in which you read them. But those are my recommendations.
I totally agree that I say that every single time. I will buy a book and then realize I don't think I like this book for some whatever reason, but I will go back to it if I hear other people recommending it. It's just not the right time for me right now. So that's actually what's going on right now. I'm going through another book that wasn't the right time until now, basically.
Love it. Like all the books now that are getting to me are the ones on creating a team and growing like it's stuff like that I would never have been interested in before now. So I totally feel you on that, man. That's cool.
Totally. Well, Alex, do you have any final things that you want to share with the audience before we take off?
For sure, man. I got one lesson. I got one thing. So like when back in that 2012, 2015 era, there was like a lot of struggle and a lot of heartache. And I know that someone listening to this will be in that position, where they're trying to figure that shit out and just keep going. Like if you focus on developing skills and you just keep pushing forward past the pain, it was worth it 1,000 times over. And it's easy for me to say now, but I remember being back there and I remember waking up with anxiety or falling asleep with anxiety over not having the things I wanted in life. And there is an end game if you focus on developing skills and keep moving forward in your thing. And I know this is a kind of a cheesy message here on the outro, but I did want to give that shout out to that person who's in the grind. Keep going, brother. Been right there with you.
Nice, man. It's rough stuff, so I'm sure everyone will find out.
For sure, for sure.
All right, Alex. Well, thanks for hopping on. And guys, if you want to check out what Alex and Lauren are up to, you can find them at avocadu.com, plus their, I guess, their blogging site, which is CreateAndGo.com. All right, guys. Well, take it easy.